Congress is counting down the days to its August recess.
And we're now joined by Congressman Devin Nunes to discuss a few of the loose ends Congress is trying to tie up. Good morning, Congressman. Thanks for joining us.
Kopi and Kim, it's always a pleasure to be on, especially here from Washington, D.C. I'd rather be on with you there in the studio, but hopefully we can do that in August.
Well, that would be nice.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, what is Congress now working on to help our farmers here in the Central Valley?
So last week, David Valadao, myself, and the whole Valley delegation once again passed out of the House of Representatives legislation that would stop the man-made drought. Now I say man-made drought because a lot of people look outside, they know that the last 3 winters have been very dry, some of the driest on record. However, what a lot of people forget is that the state's projects were built to withstand a 5-year drought. And in fact, from 1987 to 1992, when we had the last 5-year drought, it wasn't until the end of that drought that things started to get really bad. But because when we had record rainfall 4 years ago, we did not capture that water and we didn't move that water around through the existing infrastructure, what's happening is the whole state is running out of water. So the Congress has acted, this is the 5th year in a row we've acted, the House of Representatives, but the Senate has refused to do anything. So if the Senate will not take up our legislation, they at least need to produce their own, because somehow we have to be able to move the water through the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta and move it from there down into the valley and other parts of the state. If we can't do that, then we're going to have to take over 1 million acres of farm ground out of production.
So what do you think then? Do you have any pulse of what could happen with the Senate?
Well, we continue to have a dialogue with Senator Feinstein. Senator Feinstein and myself and others had a great working relationship last year. We thought we had come to an agreement. And the problem is at the last minute, Senator Boxer and Jerry Brown, the governor, both pulled the rug out from under us and stopped legislation from being passed at the end of the year last year. Now look, I know people hate the pointing fingers back and forth game, but the facts are the facts here, and the House of Representatives for 5 years in a row has passed legislation, and we have to have the Senate do something. If we don't, like I said just a second ago, we're going to have over 1 million acres of farm ground that's going to permanently be out of production if the Senate doesn't act.
What was the reasoning behind their decision, Brown and Senator Boxer?
Well, this is really, it's really a battle of the radical environmental groups versus water for the state. So the radical environmental groups continue to win. So what they have said is that we need to dump more and more water out to the ocean because that's naturally where it should go. And they say that fresh water is going to protect the little delta smelt that people have heard so much about. You know, the problem with the delta smelt and the problem with dumping fresh water out to save the delta smelt is the delta smelt is a brackish water fish. It lives in almost any kind of water. But the more water that we flushed out, the fish continue to die. So we are being held hostage by these radical groups because of a little fish, and it's very frustrating for me, and it's becoming catastrophic for the San Joaquin Valley.
So you voted in favor of this, obviously, because it just makes common sense for the way it's described.
Yeah, I mean, it really is common sense, Kopi. It really is. The problem is that the votes lie on the coastal areas of California. And conveniently, places like San Francisco are taking water from Yosemite, they're piping it across the valley, and they're using it for drinking water. So people in San Francisco haven't had a problem with water yet. And the sad part is that they're taking our water. And they don't have to contribute any percentage of their water to protect the fish. So it's wrong, it's unjust, but the problem is we have to speak, the valley has to speak as one voice. We have to get all the mayors, all the county supervisors, all the towns, all the water districts have got to say to the Senate, for once, take the House of Representatives bill and pass it and send it on to the President's desk. Because if we do not, like I said, things are only going to get worse, even if we get rain in the wintertime.
Well, in San Francisco, they do, and they are talking even today about a drought. And I know this sounds simple compared to what we're dealing with here in the Central Valley, but you go to a restaurant, they say don't order water. You go to a hotel, they say, you know, try to keep your towels for a couple of days. They are saying in San Francisco that they know there's a drought, and they are making appearances that they are conserving water. It's not enough.
Mm-hmm. So, I think you said it right, Kim. Appearances are that they're saving water, but the reality is that their reservoir up in Yosemite is full. It's sitting there full today, and they're getting their full allotment of water. So they have never had to give up one drop of water to protect the Delta smelt. Yet the radical environmental groups started there in San Francisco. They control the politics in San Francisco, and they haven't given up one drop of their water. So as I've said before, it's dangerous for us to describe this as, oh, it's just a drought, poor us, weather hasn't been kind to us. It's true that there's been a drought, but what people are forgetting is the state's infrastructure that's been designed and added on to over 100 and some years was built to withstand a 5-year drought. And 4 years ago, we all remember that wet record winter that we had. It's a shame that we let all that water go to the ocean, because had we kept that water, we'd all have water today.
Well, moving on to another issue that is a concern to all of us, President's nuclear deal with Iran. Do you support that?
No, look, the Iranian state is the largest funding mechanism as a nation state of terrorism around the globe. They have the blood of our American soldiers, men and women, on their hands. They were the ones who originally brought the explosive devices into Iraq that killed a lot of our soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan. So they are guilty of this. It was crazy to ever sit at the table with this regime. We had sanctions in place that were working, and I find it quite offensive that the president is giving the people of the United States an option of, well, you either have to accept the deal that I made, or we're going to have to go to war with Iran. Nobody's ever said that we're going to war with Iran, and now the president is out there saying this. It's very irresponsible, and as chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, we see the same intelligence that the president of the United States sees, and we don't view it the same way that he does.
So do you think that there are then legitimate safety concerns for the United States, but other countries as well, Israel and other countries in the Middle East, because of this deal?
Yeah, the real danger with this is that once the Iranians get a nuclear weapon, and this is seen as a pathway to a nuclear weapon by the Israelis and many of the Arab countries. So they have been very clear with us, and even in meetings with me, and they've said it publicly, that they are going to, when I say they, meaning the Saudis, the United Arab Emirates, several Arab countries, and the Israelis, that they're going to have to build nuclear weapons. So the worst possible thing that could happen is that if we have a nuclearized Middle East, where you have the Iranians and every Arab country with a nuclear weapon, and then with radical jihadism kind of running through the veins of the people there until that can be defeated, it's really wild-eyed to give them access to a nuclear weapon.
Well, do you think Congress is going to shoot down the nuclear deal?
So we will have the votes in both the House and the Senate to reject the deal. The question will be is, can we get the 2/3 necessary to override a presidential veto? That is really going to be the challenge. So I think the vote will be sometime around the middle of September. Nearly all the Republicans will reject this deal. I don't know how many Democrats, but I suspect a large number of Democrats will also reject this deal. In the past, when we put the sanctions on, they often got 400 votes in the House of Representatives and 95 votes in the Senate. And now you have a president who has went and taken 30 years of strong negotiations, strong requirements that have been put onto the regime in terms of trade requirements and sanctions, and he's throwing those all away.
Never enough time with you, Congressman Nunes, but sadly this is where we have to end it today. We look forward to you visiting us here on set, hopefully next month.
I look forward to it too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.